Well, welcome to the Harper Academy. Today we actually embark on basic sauces, and today we're actually looking at roux-based sauces. So we're actually going to make a bechamel or a white sauce. You're going to learn about what roux is, what mornay is, and we're actually going to do a little bit more on the stove and show you how those thickening agents work. And then finally I'm going to talk about what a veloute is and the technique that you would take, which is very similar to the white sauce. So come down to the board. You'll see the ingredients that we need for a bechamel or white sauce. The roux consists of 90 grams of butter, 90 grams of flour, and very shortly I'll show you how you cook that up. To flavour the white sauce, we're going to make an onion veloute, which is a whole onion which has been peeled. Got some beautiful fresh bay leaves out of the garden, and some beautiful aromatic cloves. So that first part, we're going to get the onion, put it on the board, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to stud a couple of the bay leaves directly into the onion. So all you do is basically hold that and stud it. So it's literally like putting thumbtacks into an onion. Who would have thought? And we go around. Now the one thing I didn't mention about white sauce is the milk. So the recipe, and you'll find the recipes also up on the YouTube channel, we have to make the roux is 90 grams of butter, 90 grams of flour, and that's to a litre of milk, which will make a very thick white sauce, and you can let that down if you're going to make different things. So I like to use these are called aromats, and they're there to add a beautiful flavour to our milk. So there's a very specific technique to making white sauce. Alright, so the next thing is, I'm going to move that out of the way. We've got our veloute there. We'll bring a pot in. Now that goes straight in, and we're going to pour a litre of beautiful fresh milk in there. Now it doesn't matter if it doesn't completely cover that. So we'll put that on the stove. So you can see that the onion veloute has been in there for a while. So at this point we're actually going to lift it out, and this is actually then discarded. Now I also noticed that there are a few little bits of the cloves sitting in there, so we're actually going to strain it to make sure that we don't have any of those black bits in our white sauce. So we actually just pour it through here and strain it. Now what you're going to notice here is that there are a couple of spots there, so I would recommend giving it a scrub before you pour the milk back in, ready for the roux. Okay, we've now got a clean pot. We've got our butter and our flour and our warm strained milk. We're actually going to use a spoon. I recommend one that's had those edges there, which gets right into the edges. And also then we're going to use a whisk. So we start off, warm the pot, pour your 90 grams of butter into the pot and gently melt it. We don't want any colour on our butter. We'll just melt that. And always we have the same amount of flour. And this is called roux, and you can see that up on the screen at the moment. Okay, the butter is now melted. We actually add the flour straight in, and we actually start to stir it up. Now you have to control the heat. It can actually burn, but I'm just stirring until it actually starts coming off the edge, and mix it up. Now this is a thickening agent called roux. Now what we're making today is a blonde roux or a white roux for white sauce, but you can also do a brun or brown, and these are the French terms, for a veloute. So the main difference between a veloute and a white sauce is we're using beef or chicken stock and actually thickening up in the same way with the roux. So we actually want to cook the roux out a little bit. This does two things. One, it actually gives you a nice smooth sauce, and also it adds a little bit of flavour as you get that nuttiness from the butter actually starting to happen. Now the key thing is you will smell, you can smell like a nuttiness starting to happen, and at no point is there any colour. Alright, so you'll see there, that's the roux, that's a white roux. I'm taking a little bit out, and we can always add a little bit more in later. Alright, this is where it gets interesting. So we're actually going to move our spoon, and we start to add, little by little, adding our warm milk. And then you really need to get in and whisk really hard, and we're going to add that little by little, so you'll see it starting to thicken up. You want to get rid of the lumps, otherwise you'll end up with lumpy white sauce. So again, whisking it up until it starts to thicken. Key thing is it will thicken when it comes to the boil. Then add a little bit more milk and whisk again. Now what we want to do now is gently bring it to the boil, making sure that we have the roux off the edges and around the edges, and you'll see that it is starting to become shiny. So you'll see at this point it has come completely to the boil, and at this point we're actually going to drop it down to a slow simmer, and we need to cook the flour out for at least 6 to 8 minutes. It's been about 8 minutes now, and if you actually have a look, it's got a beautiful shine to the sauce, and this is what we're after. So let's finish it off. Okay, we've taken it off the stove, it's been cooking out. If you come down here, you'll actually notice that it's thickened up, it's beautiful, it's got a nice shine. The last thing that we're going to do now is just taste a little bit. Be careful when it's this hot, always blow. That's great, that's excellent. But like a lot of things when you're cooking really well, you want to just maximize the flavor. So a little bit of salt. Now traditionally we don't put pepper or black pepper into white sauce for obvious reasons. It looks like we've burnt it. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt in there. Mix it around, and then I'll taste it again. Now the great thing about white sauce, everyone's heard of mornay sauce. Well, it's white sauce as a base, and then you put cheese in. Mustard sauce can also be made by putting seeded mustard, and there's a whole range of derivative sauces that you can put in. Now remember that this is the roux, but once it's just sitting separately, it's called beurre mornay, and it actually can be used to thicken sauces. Now remember, the other way of thickening sauces with corn flour, but this is a much better way of doing it, and you get a much more flavour. So thank you. Make sure that you actually check out the other basic sauces videos on the Harper Tech Academy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see more videos from the Harper Tech Academy, make sure you subscribe on the video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.